Things are not looking good for Arman Tsarukyan's title aspirations in the UFC, and I'm going to tell you why in today's video. My name is James Lynch. So if you missed it last night, RAF had another successful event, and Arman Tsarukyan was taking on Poullas. But after the fight, Arman goes and attacks him, and it causes this huge brawl. We'll watch the clip now. We also got a little sort of update from Giorgio after the incident. So let's go have a watch at this match. You can hear total mayhem, shades of Jake Shields and Jason Mayhem Miller back in the day for Strikeforce. Different because obviously this was a fight and then it happened after, but similar type of brawl. If you remember the Strikeforce brawl back in the day. So let's go have a watch of this right now.
Poullas looks for the takedown. Tsarukyan stops it, and this match is over. Arman Tsarukyan is going to and it has all broken loose as they are going to get these things sorted out here, folks. Izzy Martinez having to get involved. Chad Bronstein having to get involved here, folks. And hopefully security can get this taken care of. Emotions boiling over here, and RAF...
So yeah, you can see it right there. Arman clearly hits him after the match is over. You know, this is like Paul Daly, Josh Koscheck after their fight in the UFC, and he punches him right in the face. Now, I know there was some bad blood going into this, but like, my God, like I've been a pretty big Arman Tsarukyan defender here on this channel. I like Arman. I think he's a great guy. I think he should be fighting for the title next. What are you doing? First and foremost, and I've said this before, Arman should be fighting in the UFC. I get that he's trying to keep active because he doesn't want to sit on the sidelines and stuff, but it does him no good doing these matches. I don't think the UFC watches this and they go, hey, it's good he's keeping active. I think the UFC wants to see him fight a UFC fighter, so I don't know why he's not doing that. That's the first thing. The second thing is, Arman's already in hot water as it is. The whole situation for UFC 311 where he couldn't fight. Then there was the Dan Hooker fight where he had the headbutt at the weigh-ins, and I know a lot of people still were defending him at that point, saying, oh, it's no big deal, whatever. This is a big deal, and I know this isn't under the UFC banner, but like hitting an opponent after the fight, this only adds more fuel to the fire. That is, Arman is a liability. I think that's the best way to put it. And I think people making that claim now have a lot of evidence to back that up. We had the headbutt with Dan Hooker, now this. I know it's not the UFC, but if he is essentially representing the UFC in this match. He's part of the UFC roster. He gets paid by the UFC. This is not a good look. I can guarantee you Dana's seen this clip and he's going, you know, they might like, this might sound crazy, but they might even release him for this. I'm not even joking. It didn't happen under the UFC banner, but again, he's still representing the UFC no matter what he's doing. It's no different than like getting in trouble with the law or something. You know what I mean? Like you can't assault someone after a match like that. And there's going to be people in the comments saying, oh, no big deal, whatever. It's a big deal because this was everywhere last night. That's all people are talking about. More people are talking about this than the UFC Mexico card last night. That's how big this thing has got. And then we got another angle of some fighters, another angle of players supporting the team, the horror. So yeah, here we go. So fans are loving it. Who doesn't love brawls like this? But if you're the UFC, you're going to be pretty upset. Even O'Malley's kind of like, what the heck? Yeah, so they're all crazy. That's pretty much my thoughts of what Dana probably is looking like when he saw this. So anyways, here's Giorgio's response on Instagram as well. We get a little take of this. Oh, hold on. Where's my sound?
Fans and supporters, I want to thank you guys. I hope you guys got some enjoyment out of the match tonight. Unfortunately, I was jumped, but as you guys saw, my 62-year-old dad and both my brothers came to my rescue. That's the way we were brought up, to fight for each other no matter what. We're outnumbered by like 12 Armenians, and they came out there running, fighting with me, fighting for me. So that's fucking love. That's how we were raised. To Arman, you're a little bitch. And by the way, if you guys watch the match, I'm the only one that got a takedown. He got pushed out and a couple penalty points. I'm still the champ, baby.
So yeah, adding a bit more fuel, and he doesn't care because I mean this was the most publicity that Giorgio's probably got in his career. But again, I look at Arman right now, like you don't have a fight booked in the UFC. They're moving along presumably with Gaethje and Ilia Topuria, and he would be seen as the next man up. But the UFC, Dana's pretty much said that he needs to take another fight. So why is he not booking fights? Like this is just like on so many levels so bad for Arman. Like I don't know where things are going from here. Like I said, there's a world where he could get cut from the UFC for this. Like, I know, again, people are going to be like, oh, it's just a punch, whatever. But it's the continued behavior of like him doing things that are becoming a liability for the company. He's got like, Arman should come out, and he probably won't, but he should come out and be like, look, I lost my cool, and he should book a fight with the UFC as soon as possible and get back on the right track. Because Arman doesn't have any leverage here. If he wants to fight for the title, you got to play by the rules of the UFC. The UFC's not going to cater their fights and schedule to you. You have to go out there and perform well. So I'm just more than anything disappointed. Like, I'm like everyone else. I want to see the best fight the best. I would rather see Arman fight Ilia Topuria than Justin Gaethje fight Ilia Topuria. I think that fight's more competitive. I think it's very intriguing and very interesting. I still want to see Arman fight Islam at some point, although that probably won't happen because I don't think Islam's going to move back down to 155. Like, this just sucks. That's kind of the way I looked at it. Like, I know there's a lot of people watching this going like, oh, this is super entertaining. Like, what are you talking about? But like, you have to think like, if the UFC was already mad about the headbutt with Dan Hooker, how do you think they're going to react to this? Right? So yeah, I just like, I don't even know. And then the other thing is like, if you are like, let's say he's not fighting for the title next, like, what do you even do with Arman at this point? Like, you can't put him in a main event or anything. I don't think. I think the UFC's looking at this as like, what if something like this happens again, like at a weigh-in or something? I don't know. I just think like, even if Arman went out there and didn't do any of this and won the match, it still doesn't do anything for him. Like, I don't get the thinking of like doing these types of competitions when you're like a contender in the weight class. Like Colby, I get it. Like I've said before, I don't think Colby's fighting again in the UFC. If he wants to do wrestling matches, use a bit of your name value and all that, and do something that you're great at, which is wrestling. That's fine. Colby's in a completely different situation than Arman, but Arman's a contender in the weight class, and he's wasting his prime years away doing these competitions and now getting into trouble as well. So again, we'll see what comes out of this. I hope nothing happens to Arman. Let me be clear about that. Like, I don't want to see him get in trouble. I don't want to see him not get to fight for the title. I do want to see the best fight the best, but like the crowd that was against Arman, and I see a lot of people that do mention that, you got your ammunition right now. This is a perfect example of like how Arman has had issues. And the other thing I forgot too is him hitting the fan right a couple years ago too. So there's a pattern here of him, causing issues like with the fan. And again, the fan shouldn't have said what he said, but you can't go and hit people. You can't headbutt Dan Hooker. You can't, punch your opponent after the bell. Again, Paul Daly did that to Josh Koscheck. He got cut from the UFC. Jason High, go look him up, former UFC fighter. I think he pushed a ref or something, got cut from the UFC. Now, granted, those were under the UFC banner, but I still don't think this helps either. Like, again, whether people will admit it or not, even though it's not under the UFC banner, you are a UFC fighter. That's what you're known for. You are making the company look bad by acting like this. And this just adds more fire to the like, oh, fighters are unstable and they're, whatever. Like people use that argument. They'll say like, oh, it just goes to show these guys are animals. They can't control their emotions. So yeah, more than anything, I'm just disappointed. I think it sucks for Arman. Like I said, I hope nothing happens, but I expect the unexpected here when it comes to this situation, because I can't imagine the UFC is going to be happy about this. So what are your thoughts on this in the comments? What do you think is going to happen to Arman? Do you think, like, I don't think the UFC could technically suspend him because it's not something that happened there, but but saying that though, people who've gotten arrested, they've been suspended before. So I don't know. Like, I don't know how the UFC is going to handle this, but it's not looking good for Arman. And like I said, like, if you thought he was going to get a title shot anytime soon, he may never get a title shot after this. That's how bad this is. So follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, @Lynch on Sports. My name is James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.